The sky above the Zephrian capital shimmered with colors no human had ever seen. 3 suns reflected off crystal towers, sending sparks of light dancing across the streets below. Birds with wings like silver blades glided gracefully through the air, and the soft hum of energy fields created a gentle melody over the city. Humans had never visited this planet before. To them, this place seemed like a dream, strange, beautiful, and slightly intimidating. Captain Elias stepped off the shuttle, adjusting the strap of his utility pack. He had traveled for months, crossing light years of empty space, and now he was here. He was here as a representative of Earth, a human warrior, sent not only to show goodwill, but also to prove that humans could be more than just primitive creatures in the eyes of the galaxy. But as he walked through the palace gates, he could feel the stares. The Zephrians were tall, slender, and luminous. Their skin shimmered in colors of gold, silver, and soft violet. Their eyes were larger than humans, glowing faintly with intelligence. Some whispered as he passed, while others stared openly, trying to figure him out. He was different, not just in appearance, but in the way he carried himself, straight-backed, confident, calm. Interesting, Elias muttered under his breath. He had expected this. He had heard stories of alien arrogance and curiosity. He had trained for this moment. The palace doors opened, revealing a grand hall with ceilings so high they seemed to touch the sky. Crystals hung like chandeliers, casting rainbows across the polished floor. At the far end, seated on a throne of silver and blue light, was Queen Serafini. Her presence was commanding, yet calm. She radiated authority, wisdom, and a hint of curiosity as her eyes rested on Elias. Beside her, slightly forward, stood the Princess Lyra. She was young by Zephrian standards, though older than any human teenager. Her golden hair shimmered, and her violet eyes sparkled with mischief. From the moment she saw Elias, she smiled, but not kindly. There was amusement, a lightness that felt sharp and teasing. "Well, Mother," Lyra said, her voice musical but mocking, "so this is the human you are sending to us? He looks fragile." The court laughed softly, though not loudly. Some hid their surprise behind polite gestures, while others whispered to one another. Elias felt the sting, but he did not react. He knew this would happen. He stepped forward, bowing slightly, a human gesture of respect. "I am Captain Elias of Earth," he said. His voice was calm, steady, and polite. "I come with respect, and I hope to build understanding between our worlds." Lyra's eyes twinkled, but her smile widened into a smirk. "Respect? From a human? I wonder what else you can bring us. Humor, perhaps? Or bravery?" Elias did not flinch. Instead, he met her gaze with steady eyes. "I bring what humans have always brought: our best efforts, our loyalty, and our determination." The princess laughed, a clear, ringing sound that filled the hall. "Determination? You barely look capable of carrying a sword, let alone leading warriors." Elias smiled faintly. He did not defend himself. Words were not weapons. Actions were. He had learned this long ago. Queen Serafini leaned forward slightly. "Princess Lyra, enough. He is here as an envoy. Treat him with courtesy." Lyra's smile faded just a little, but her eyes remained curious. "Of course, Mother," she said, though the teasing tone lingered. She turned to Elias, her voice softer but still challenging. "Very well, human. Let us see if you are as capable as you claim. There will be a small trial for you, to show your skills." Elias nodded. "I am ready." A Zephrian attendant stepped forward, holding a small device shaped like a crystal cube. It projected a holographic arena into the air. The floor shimmered with energy fields, and obstacles appeared: walls, moving platforms, and challenges that tested both mind and body. "This is simple for most of our young warriors," Lyra said, a hint of pride in her voice. "But for you, human, let us see what happens." Elias studied the arena carefully. Humans were not physically as strong as Zephrians, but they had endurance, creativity, and adaptability. These were the qualities that often surprised the galaxy's strongest races. The trial began. Lyra moved first, easily jumping over walls and scaling platforms. She was quick, precise, and graceful. The court watched, Impressed by her skill, Elias stepped forward. At first, it seemed he struggled. His movements were not as elegant, his jumps not as high. Whispers filled the hall. Lyra's laughter rang out. "Is this your human determination?" she asked mockingly. "I expected more." But then Elias began to use his surroundings differently. He did not try to compete directly. He observed, calculated, and adapted. A moving platform threatened to push him into a wall, so he used the momentum to swing onto the next ledge. A gap too wide to jump, he found a crystal pillar to propel himself across. The court fell silent. Whispers turned into murmurs of surprise. Lyra's eyebrows rose. How could a human, whom she considered weak, move so cleverly? He was not faster, but he was smarter, using the arena in ways the young Zephrians had never expected. Finally, he reached the end, not with a show of strength, but with calm precision. He stood, breathing steadily, and gave a small nod to the princess. "Trial complete," he said simply. Lyra stared at him, her amusement replaced by something new: confusion, curiosity, and a flicker of admiration. The court, too, looked at him with a different respect. Queen Seraphine's eyes shone with approval, though she said nothing yet. "Remarkable," Lyra admitted finally, though she tried to hide it behind a small smirk. "You surprised me." Elias gave a polite smile. "I did not aim to surprise, princess. I aim to succeed." The princess laughed again, softer this time. "HMPH, maybe humans are not completely useless." The queen spoke then, her voice gentle but firm. "Elias, you have shown patience, intelligence, and courage. These are qualities we value greatly. Princess Lyra, observe well. Strength alone is not always the measure of worth." Lyra glanced at her mother, then back at the human warrior. She felt an unexpected stir of curiosity. He had faced her mockery without anger. He had solved challenges without arrogance. There was a calm strength about him, quiet but undeniable. After the trial, Elias was invited to dine with the royal family. He sat with care, observing Zephrian customs. Lyra tried to continue her teasing, but it was different now. Her jabs felt hollow, and she found herself laughing at his clever answers, not mocking him. That evening, as the sun set and the sky turned shades of violet and gold, Queen Seraphine summoned Lyra privately. "You will learn much from him," she said softly. "Not because he is strong in the ways you know, but because he is human. That is a strength all its own." Lyra frowned, unsure. "But mother, he is just a human. How can he match a Zephrian?" Queen Seraphine's eyes twinkled with wisdom. "Do not judge strength by appearance, child. Watch carefully, and you will see." Lyra nodded slowly, still skeptical but secretly intrigued. She did not yet know how much this human would change her, nor how much he would shake the foundations of the royal court outside. Elias looked up at the glowing moons of Zephyr. He could feel their eyes on him, some curious, some doubtful, some amused. He smiled quietly. This was only the beginning. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long, and he would show them exactly why humans should never be underestimated. The night air was cool, filled with strange scents of alien flora. The palace towered above him, shining under 3 moons. A soft hum of energy vibrated through the air, as if the planet itself was alive, watching, waiting. Elias took a deep breath. He was far from home. He was surrounded by beings far stronger and faster than any human. But he felt calm. He had faced impossible odds before. He had faced enemies who thought him weak, and now he would show them all that humans had a strength no one could take away, a strength of heart, mind, and spirit. Princess Lyra, somewhere above him in her chambers, stared out at the same sky. For the first time, she felt uncertain. The human warrior who had entered her world with clumsy steps and quiet confidence was no longer a simple target for mockery. Something about him mattered, and that mattered more than she could yet admit. The morning sun rose over the Zephrian capital, sending beams of violet and gold across the city's crystal towers. Princess Lyra stood on her balcony, arms crossed, her violet eyes fixed on the distant horizon. Yesterday had unsettled her in ways she did not understand. The human warrior, Captain Elias, had completed the trial with a calmness and intelligence she could not ignore. He had moved through the arena not like a Zephrian, but with a style entirely his own, creative, unpredictable, and most importantly, successful. He had proven that humans were more than fragile beings, as she had once assumed, yet Lyra was not ready to admit admiration. Instead, she decided to challenge him further. If he could survive her mockery once, perhaps he could not survive it twice. She loved competition, and she loved proving herself right. Today, she murmured to herself, he will see that a human cannot match a Zephrian in skill or wit. Elias, meanwhile, prepared quietly in his chamber. He examined his gear and practiced simple exercises, but his mind was calm. He did not fear the princess's challenges. In his travels, he had learned that the mind often mattered more than raw strength, and patience more than speed. At breakfast, the court gathered again. Lyra entered with a playful smile, though her eyes were sharper than yesterday. "Good morning, human," she said. "Today, we will see if yesterday was just luck. Are you ready?" Elias nodded politely. "I am ready for any challenge you present, Princess." Lyra laughed, a musical sound that held both amusement and defiance. "Very well, follow me." She led him to a courtyard that shimmered in the sunlight. The space was larger than the arena yesterday, filled with complex machinery, moving obstacles, and strange floating platforms. The challenge today was a combination of agility, intelligence, and strategy. Lyra smirked. "You see these platforms? Only the fastest and smartest can navigate them. I expect failure." Elias observed quietly. Humans had a gift for thinking differently. He walked slowly, analyzing patterns. The platforms moved in predictable sequences, but the sequences were irregular enough to confuse those who relied solely on speed. He noticed a rhythm in their motion, a subtle beat that the Zephrians might overlook because they assumed speed alone would win. "Time starts now," Lyra called, and with a swift leap, she began. She moved with grace, jumping from platform to platform, arms outstretched, landing perfectly each time. The court watched in awe, murmuring admiration. This was their princess, skilled beyond measure, and the human had to compete against her. Elias stepped forward. At first, the floating platforms seemed impossible. Some moved too fast, others tilted when stepped on. Yet he did not panic. He began to observe, then adjust. When a platform tilted dangerously, he shifted his weight, using balance rather than strength. When a gap seemed too wide, he found a smaller, almost invisible surface to step on. Propelling himself forward, Lyra glanced back. She frowned, startled to see the human still moving steadily. "How?" she muttered under her breath. The court gasped. Elias moved with a quiet cleverness, never rushing, never making unnecessary movements. Each step was calculated, each jump precise, yet effortless to watch. He looked ordinary, almost clumsy at first glance, but in truth, he was extraordinary. By the midpoint, Lyra's frustration grew. She had expected him to fail, to stumble and falter, yet he had adapted. Every challenge she set seemed to be met with ingenuity rather than speed or raw power. Elias finally reached the central platform. He paused, scanning the final obstacles. A spinning barrier blocked the exit, moving in a pattern that would confuse most Zephrians. He waited, calculated the timing, and then ran at the exact moment the barrier swung away, sliding under it with perfect timing. The crowd erupted in cheers. Even the elders, who rarely praised outsiders, nodded in approval. Lyra's eyes widened. The human had done it not by rushing, not by showing strength, but by thinking, observing, and adapting. When he stepped off the final platform, he bowed lightly. "Challenge complete," he said calmly. Lyra glared, her cheeks flushing. She could not deny the truth. You are clever, human." "I admit it," Elias smiled politely. "Thank you, princess. I have learned much just by observing." The princess shook her head, a mixture of irritation and curiosity crossing her face. She had expected arrogance or excuses, yet he had shown humility and intelligence, qualities she had not associated with humans before. Queen Seraphine approached, her presence quiet but commanding. You have performed well, Elias. Today, you have shown creativity, courage, and patience. These are qualities we value highly. Lyra's frown deepened. Mother, he is still human. How can he match Zephrians in skill? The queen smiled softly. Strength is not always measured in physical power, Lyra. Observe him carefully. Humans are unpredictable. That is their greatest advantage. Lyra looked back at Elias, who was quietly inspecting the arena, his eyes sharp but calm. She felt a strange mixture of respect and frustration. He had changed something in her perception, though she did not yet understand it. The princess decided to challenge him further, testing not just skill but courage. She led him to the palace gardens, where strange, towering plants emitted gentle lights and sounds. Some plants released harmless but startling bursts of energy when touched. Here, Lyra said, her tone almost daring. There's a creature in these gardens, small but fast. Capture it if you can. Most young Zephrians cannot succeed. Elias studied the area. The creature darted between plants, quick and unpredictable. Many Zephrians would have used speed and power to chase it, but Elias relied on observation. He noted the creature's patterns, its tendencies, and the timing of its movements patiently. He moved, silently tracking it. When the creature tried to dart past him, he anticipated its path, cutting it off gently without harming it. The crowd watched and gasped. Even Lyra's eyes widened. You caught it, she whispered, half in awe, half in disbelief. Elias held it gently in his hands, speaking softly so it would not panic. It is not about strength or speed alone. It is about understanding, patience, and respect. Lyra blinked. She had expected mockery, failure, and embarrassment, but instead, she witnessed intelligence, patience, and quiet strength. Her laughter from yesterday seemed distant now, replaced by a sense of confusion she could not easily name. That evening, Queen Serafini spoke to her daughter privately. Do you understand now, Lyra? She asked gently. Humans are often underestimated because they do not appear strong, but they have qualities that surpass even the best of us. Courage, creativity, and a heart that never gives up. These are rare in the galaxy. Lyra frowned, conflicted. I did not expect him to be like this. I cannot figure him out. The queen smiled, placing a hand on her daughter's shoulder. That is exactly the point. Observe, learn, and respect. Do not judge by appearance, Lyra. True strength is more than what the eyes can see. Lyra nodded slowly, though her mind remained restless. She had mocked Elias, thinking him weak. Yet he had outshone expectations at every turn, not with flashy power, but with cleverness, patience, and courage. Elias, in his quarters, sat quietly, reflecting on the day. The challenges had been difficult, but he had expected as much. He knew that in a world full of being stronger and faster than humans, he had to rely on qualities that were uniquely human: adaptability, strategy, and calm determination. He thought of Lyra and her changing expressions. She had mocked him, but now she seemed curious, perhaps even cautious. He did not seek to win her favor. He only sought to do his duty and show respect. Outside, the palace gardens glowed under the twin moons, and the air was filled with the soft hum of Zephrian energy. The court was abuzz with whispers, and even Lyra could not ignore the growing sense that this human was not ordinary. He was the extraordinary. As she looked at the stars above, Lyra realized something she had not expected. Elias had not only survived her challenges, he had changed the way she saw humans entirely. And though she would not admit it aloud, she felt a stirring of respect, curiosity, and something deeper, a feeling she could not yet name, for Elias. The trials were only the beginning. He knew the princess would challenge him further, and he was ready. For the first time in his life, he felt that humans might not only survive in this galaxy, they might inspire it. And somewhere deep within the palace, Lyra watched him, a mind full of questions, a heart full of uncertainty, and a curiosity that would only grow. The morning mist hovered over the Zephrian palace gardens, shimmering faintly in the light of the three suns. Princess Lyra wandered through the winding paths, her violet eyes thoughtful. Since the trials, her mind had been in a restless whirl. Captain Elias had proven himself far beyond what she or anyone in the court had expected. He was clever, patient, and calm under pressure. But more than that, he carried a quiet courage that could not be measured by strength or speed alone. Lyra frowned. She had mocked him, teased him, assumed he was weak, and yet here he was, every step, every movement, every decision proving her wrong. It irritated her, and yet it intrigued her. She turned as her mother, Queen Serafini, approached. The queen's presence was calm but commanding, and her eyes held a deep wisdom that made Lyra pause. "Lyra," the queen said gently, "it is time you understand why humans are remarkable." Lyra blinked, her pride making her hesitant. "Mother, he is just a human. He moves differently, he thinks differently. Yes, he is clever, but remarkable?" Queen Serafini smiled. "Humans are different, yes, but different does not mean weak. It means they see the world in ways we often do not. They have qualities that even the most advanced Zephrians struggle to understand: resilience, empathy, courage, and above all, the ability to persevere, even when the odds are impossible." Lyra's brow furrowed. "Empathy? Perseverance? Mother, all beings are courageous in their own way. What makes a human so special?" The queen gestured toward the courtyard. "Watch him. Observe him today. He will show you." Lyra followed reluctantly. Elias was already outside, practicing calmly in the open courtyard. Unlike yesterday, today he did not move like a competitor or a student. Today, he was simply himself, observing, preparing, thinking. Lyra decided to test him further. Though she did not yet realize she was also testing herself. She motioned to a Zephrian attendant, and a small hovering drone zipped into the air. It emitted a soft humming sound and moved unpredictably, weaving between the crystal pillars and flowering plants. "There," Lyra said. "Capture it if you can. It moves faster than you can anticipate." Elias studied the drone carefully. Most Zephrians would rush forward, relying on speed, or attempt a complicated maneuver to trap it. Elias did something different. He waited, breathing evenly, watching the drone's patterns. When it zipped left, he anticipated its path and positioned himself. When it tried to dart right, he adapted instantly. Finally, he reached out and gently secured it without harming it. The drone's hum ceased, and it floated quietly in his hands. Lyra's eyes widened. You caught it." How Elias looked at her calmly. "Not by rushing, not by force. I observed, understood, and acted carefully. Strength alone is not always the answer." Lyra frowned, struggling to hide the admiration forming in her chest. She had mocked him before, thinking his human ways were inferior. And yet, he had once again shown her something unexpected: cleverness, patience, and a calmness that could face any danger. The queen's voice broke through Lyra's thoughts. "Observe, Lyra. This is what humans offer the galaxy. They may not be the fastest or the strongest, but their mind, their heart, and their spirit are unmatched. They find solutions where others see only failure." Lyra followed her mother's gaze. She watched Elias walk slowly through the garden, adjusting to the strange plants and floating platforms as if he belonged there. He smiled politely at a Zephrian child who approached, showing kindness and respect without hesitation. "Why does he care?" Lyra whispered. "Why does he not boast or show off?" Queen Seraphine's eyes twinkled. "Because he does not need to. True courage does not require display. True intelligence does not require recognition. And humans, they understand value in ways we often cannot." Lyra felt a strange warmth in her chest. She hated that it existed, but it was there. She had mocked Elias for days, yet he had changed her thoughts and feelings without even trying. As if sensing her contemplation, Elias approached. "Princess Lyra," he said respectfully, bowing slightly. "I hope my presence here is not causing you discomfort." Lyra blinked. She was startled by the politeness in his tone. No," she said, though her pride made her hesitate. "I only did not expect you to be so effective." Elias smiled faintly. "I understand. I know humans are often underestimated. I accept that. I also hope that through patience and understanding, we can show that humans have worth beyond appearance." Lyra did not respond immediately. She found herself thinking about his words, about his calm, about the quiet strength he displayed. He was unlike any being she had ever met, and she hated how much she admired it. The queen placed a hand gently on her daughter's shoulder. Observe carefully, Lyra. Courage, creativity, and empathy are qualities that shape civilizations. Watch him, learn, and one day you may understand why humans are essential to the galaxy. Lyra nodded slowly, still conflicted. She wanted to mock him, to tease him, to feel superior. But each time she tried, she found herself stopping, reconsidering. He had faced her challenges without anger, without prideful displays, without arrogance. Later, a sudden alarm rang through the palace. A small Zephrian craft had malfunctioned in the lower city, threatening to crash into a crowded market. Citizens ran in panic, and palace guards rushed to respond. But the distance and the speed of the craft made the situation dangerous. Elias reacted immediately. "Show me the path to it," he said, already moving toward the landing ramp. Lyra ran after him, heart pounding. She expected him to struggle, to hesitate, but Elias moved with determination, scanning every detail. When they reached the site, the craft hovered precariously above a crowd of frightened citizens. Its systems were failing, and it could crash at any moment. Without hesitation, Elias climbed onto the craft's hull. He worked calmly, using human ingenuity to stabilize the failing systems. He communicated with the panicked Zephrian pilot, giving clear, simple instructions that restored balance. The craft stabilized just in time, landing safely. Citizens cheered, guards saluted, and Lyra stood frozen, her eyes wide. The human had faced danger head-on, calmly, and without fear. "You," she whispered, almost to herself, "you saved them. All of them." Elias climbed down, brushing dust from his uniform. He did not boast. He only looked at her politely and said, "It is my duty to protect life, princess. All life, human or Zephrian." Lyra's chest tightened. She had expected arrogance, but found only humility. She had expected fear, but found courage. And she realized humans were not weak. They were unpredictable, clever, compassionate, and brave. The queen approached again, her eyes serene. "Do you see now, Lyra? This is why humans are rare and valued. Their strength lies not only in body or mind, but in heart and spirit. They face danger with courage, act with wisdom, and persist even when all seems lost." Lyra nodded slowly, a thought forming in her mind that she had never entertained before. She could no longer see Elias as a mere target for mockery. He was remarkable. For the first time, she felt something unfamiliar, respect. And more than respect, a quiet curiosity about him, about humans, about what it meant to see the world differently. Elias stood nearby, unaware of the storm of thoughts in her mind. He was calm, polite, and observant as ever, embodying the very qualities the queen had described. Lyra turned away, trying to regain her composure. She could not admit her admiration aloud, not yet. But deep down, she knew her perception of humans, and of this human warrior, had changed forever. And for Elias, the day had proven something he had long known. Humans were capable of greatness, even in worlds far from their own. He had faced challenges, adapted, and shown courage not to win approval, but because it was the right thing to do. As the twin suns set over the Zephrian city, casting long shadows across the crystal towers, Lyra stared at him from a distance. She did not fully understand her feelings, but she knew one thing. This human warrior was unlike any being she had ever met, and the galaxy itself, vast and unpredictable, had yet to see the full measure of human strength. The great hall of the Zephrian palace gleamed under the light of the three suns. Crystals hung from the ceiling, casting brilliant reflections across the polished floor. Nobles and dignitaries had gathered from every corner of the galaxy, drawn to the rare event, a ceremony to honor the human envoy, Captain Elias of Earth. Princess Lyra entered the hall, her violet eyes scanning the crowd. Her expression was composed, though inside, her thoughts swirled. She had spent weeks mocking him, challenging him, and yet Elias had surpassed her expectations at every turn. He had proven clever, brave, and patient qualities she had once thought impossible for a human. Today, she was unsure what to expect. Queen Serafini rose from her throne, her presence commanding silence. Esteemed guests, she began, her voice steady and melodic. We gather today not only to honor our guest, Captain Elias, but also to recognize a remarkable quality, courage, and wisdom beyond measure. The court murmured softly. Many Zephrians still struggled to comprehend a human's place among them. Elias stood quietly, his posture calm, hands folded in front of him. He did not seek attention, nor did he need it. His quiet dignity spoke for him. Lyra's eyes flicked toward him. She had prepared to mock him once more, to see him stumble in public. But all she saw was calm strength. Her chest tightened. She hated how impressed she was, yet she could not look away. The queen's gaze shifted to her daughter. Lyra, she said gently but firmly, you have witnessed human courage, intelligence, and patience. These qualities are rare in the galaxy, and Elias has shown them in abundance. Lyra shifted on her feet. She wanted to speak, to object, but she could not find words. The queen's tone left no room for interruption. A hush fell over the hall. The queen lifted her hands, her voice clear and commanding. Captain Elias, you have proven yourself in ways that exceed even our expectations. For this, I honor you. Elias inclined his head respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty. It is my duty to serve with integrity and respect. The crowd nodded, some whispering admiration, others curiosity. But it was the queen's next words that froze everyone in place. And now, she said, her eyes resting on Lyra, I declare that Captain Elias is to be your husband. Princess Lyra. The hall erupted in gasps. Nobles whispered, some in shock, others in awe. Lyra's mouth fell open. Her violet eyes widened. She could not speak. You, mother, what? She stammered, her voice barely audible. The queen's gaze was unwavering. Lyra, you have mocked him, challenged him, and perhaps underestimated him. Yet he has proven himself worthy not through strength alone, but through wisdom, courage, and integrity. You will learn from him as much as he has shown you. And in time, you may come to understand that this union will benefit not only you, but the entire kingdom. Lyra felt her knees weaken. She had spent so long seeing Elias as a target for mockery, and now she was being told he would be her partner for life. Her mind raced. She remembered the trials, the gardens, the moments when he had shown bravery and patience. She remembered how he had saved the citizens from the falling craft, acting calmly while others panicked. Her heart thumped in ways she did not understand. Confusion, admiration, and something softer, something she could not yet name, swirled inside her. Elias bowed respectfully once more. I will honor your command, Your Majesty, and I will respect Princess Lyra in all ways. My duty is to serve, to protect, and to act with integrity. Lyra looked at him. He spoke simply, politely, and with humility. No arrogance, no showiness. He did not seek to impress, and yet he had impressed her more than anyone she had ever known. The courtiers whispered again, some exchanging knowing glances. The union between a Zephrian princess and a human warrior was unprecedented. Many doubted it could succeed. Others were intrigued by the possibility. Lyra's mind was a storm of conflicting emotions. She had mocked him, yes, but now she felt an unexpected warmth, a pull toward him she could not explain. She hated the feeling, yet it was undeniable. Princess Lyra, the queen said gently, do not fear what you feel. Humans have qualities that may surprise you. Observe, learn, and in time, you will understand why this choice has been made. Lyra bowed her head, struggling to steady herself. Yes, mother, she whispered. Her voice lacked the usual teasing confidence she carried. She could not bring herself to speak to Elias, yet not with words. Not until she understood her own feelings. Elias stood quietly, observing the princess with polite curiosity. He did not press her. He had learned that patience and respect were more powerful than words or gestures. He would wait. He could wait. The queen stepped back, signaling the start of the ceremonial celebration. Music filled the hall, alien melodies that seemed to weave through the crystal towers themselves. Light danced across the walls. casting colors and patterns that made the entire scene feel almost magical. Lyra moved through the crowd, her eyes occasionally drifting toward Elias. He spoke with the courtiers politely, answering questions with calm intelligence. He was approachable, kind, and dignified, a presence that demanded respect without forcing it. She could not stop herself from observing him. Each action, each word, each gesture seemed deliberate, thoughtful, and respectful. She had expected clumsiness, yet he moved through the court like he belonged there, calm, confident, human, but extraordinary. A Zephrian noble approached Lyra. "Princess, the human is remarkable, is he not?" Lyra blinked. "Yes, he is." She did not add anything else. She could not. She felt an unfamiliar mix of admiration, frustration, and curiosity building inside her. As the day continued, small moments revealed Elias's true nature. He helped an elderly Zephrian reach a high ledge to collect a rare crystal flower. He comforted a frightened child with soft words and gentle gestures. He spoke with tact and intelligence to foreign diplomats, easing tension and building understanding. Lyra watched all of it, her mind swirling. She realized the queen had been right. This human was not only brave and clever, but compassionate, kind, and capable of inspiring loyalty and respect in all he met. When the ceremony concluded, the queen addressed the assembly one final time. "Let this day be remembered, not for its novelty, but for its example. Let it remind us that strength is not always measured in physical power. Wisdom, courage, and a compassionate heart are far greater." Lyra's eyes met Elias's. She felt something shift inside her, a quiet understanding, a subtle respect, and a spark of curiosity that she could not ignore. He gave her a polite nod, acknowledging her presence without intrusion. She returned it, though her heart still raced. She had mocked him, challenged him, and resisted understanding him. Yet here he was, standing as her equal in ways she had not anticipated. That night, Lyra could not sleep. She wandered the palace gardens, reflecting on the day's events. She remembered the trials, the craft rescue, the quiet patience and intelligence Elias had shown. She had spent so long thinking him inferior, yet he had proven himself far beyond what anyone could have imagined. She realized something that made her heart tighten. She had underestimated humans, and in doing so, she had also underestimated Elias. The moonlight shimmered across the gardens, casting soft reflections on the crystal paths. Lyra stopped and looked toward the horizon, thinking about the union her mother had declared. She had resisted the idea at first, but now she felt something else. Curiosity, respect, perhaps even the beginnings of something she did not yet understand. Elias, somewhere nearby, was quietly observing the palace from the courtyard. He had accomplished what he had set out to do, show courage, intelligence, and integrity. But he also knew the most important challenge was not the court, not the trials, not the ceremonies. It was winning the respect, trust, and perhaps even the heart of the princess. Lyra did not know it yet, but that journey had already begun, and she would find that humans were capable of much more than she had ever imagined. The night air was cool, and the stars shimmered in unfamiliar patterns above. The city was quiet, but the memory of the day lingered, an unforgettable reminder that humans could not be measured by appearances, and that sometimes courage and heart mattered more than strength alone. And somewhere deep within her, Lyra felt the first stirrings of admiration and curiosity for the human warrior, who had changed everything.
The Zephrian palace was alive with soft light, the crystals casting patterns across the walls that seemed to dance in rhythm with the hum of the city. Weeks had passed since the Queen's declaration, yet the air between Princess Lyra and Captain Elias remained delicate. Their relationship was not one of love yet, not in the way humans or Zephrians spoke of it. It was a beginning, a tentative thread that could grow into trust, respect, and perhaps something more. Lyra stood in the palace gardens, her violet eyes observing Elias as he trained with patience and precision. The courtyard was filled with obstacles, floating platforms, and intricate devices meant to challenge agility and wit. Yet Elias moved differently than before, not in competition but in understanding. Each motion, each calculation, each decision spoke of a mind both disciplined and compassionate. "Human," Lyra called softly, trying to hide the curiosity in her tone. "Why do you train so diligently, even after proving yourself so many times?" Elias turned, his expression calm and polite. "Training is not only for skill, Princess. It is for understanding my own limitations and how to adapt to challenges. Every day brings new lessons, and I intend to learn them all." Lyra frowned, though there was a trace of admiration in her gaze. "Most Zephrians do not think like that. They rely on their natural abilities." "Natural abilities can be powerful," Elias admitted, "but intelligence, patience, and adaptability often matter more. I have learned that the galaxy is full of surprises. To survive, one must expect the unexpected." Lyra did not answer immediately. She remembered the trials, the gardens, the hovering drone, and the malfunctioning craft. Each event had revealed something extraordinary about Elias, a quiet strength and intelligence that no Zephrian could match. "You have changed my perception," she said finally, her voice low. "I thought humans were weak, predictable, ordinary, but you are none of those things." Elias smiled faintly, a polite, respectful gesture. "I am glad to have proven that, Princess. But I do not seek to impress. I only act as I believe is right." Lyra's lips twitched, almost a smile. She wanted to tease him, to revert to the playful mockery she had started with, but she could not. His calm strength, his humility, and his intelligence made it impossible. She found herself respecting him. More than that, she found herself wanting to learn from him. The Queen observed this quietly from a distance. She had expected this change. Humans had a subtle power, one that grew not through strength or speed, but through courage, patience, and understanding. Elias was teaching Lyra a lesson no trial or lecture could. "Princess," the Queen said gently as she approached, "the bond between you and Elias will not form overnight, but you will see that humans offer something the galaxy has seldom known. A combination of heart, mind, and courage that can inspire even the strongest civilizations." Lyra nodded, thoughtful. "I understand, Mother. I want to learn. I want to understand him." The Queen smiled softly. "Then observe, engage, and let your heart guide you alongside your mind." In the days that followed, Lyra spent more time with Elias, watching how he interacted with the Zephrians. He spoke to diplomats with tact and kindness, solved problems with creativity, and treated all life with respect. He helped children learn, advised engineers on technical challenges, and mediated disputes with calm authority. Lyra began to notice details she had never paid attention to before. The way he listened carefully before speaking. The way he treated every being, human or Zephrian, with dignity. The way he remained calm under pressure, even when the unexpected occurred. One evening, a festival illuminated the palace grounds. Floating lights filled the air. Music echoed through the crystal halls, and the citizens celebrated life and unity. Lyra watched Elias assist a group of dancers who were struggling with a new formation. He moved among them with patience and encouragement, correcting their mistakes gently and showing them the right steps. "Human," Lyra said softly, "how do you remain so patient?" Elias turned, smiling. "Patience comes from understanding. When one sees the effort others give, it is easier to guide rather than command. Leadership is not about force, it is about support and respect." Lyra's eyes widened. She had always thought leadership was about power and presence. Elias showed her something different, that true strength lay in supporting others, in helping them succeed and in caring for them without expecting reward. Days turned into weeks, and their time together deepened Lyra's understanding. She began to see not only the strength of Elias's character, but also the value of humans in the galaxy. Their adaptability, creativity, and courage could complement the power and knowledge of Zephrians, creating unity stronger than either race alone. One afternoon, a minor emergency arose. A small energy storm threatened to damage the palace's outer walls. Guards prepared to intervene, but Elias quickly assessed the situation. Using a combination of observation, quick thinking, and coordination, he guided the Zephrians in reinforcing the walls and stabilizing energy fields. Lyra watched from above, amazed. The humans' calm and strategic thinking had prevented disaster before it began. She felt a sense of pride and admiration she could no longer deny. "Human," she said later, approaching him quietly. You saved the palace. Again." Elias bowed politely. "It is my duty to protect life and property, Princess. I only act as necessary." Lyra shook her head, a small smile forming. You act as if it is natural, yet it is remarkable. I see now that humans are capable of so much more than I ever imagined. Elias's gaze met hers, steady and respectful. You honor my people, Princess. That is all I could ask for. Over time, their relationship evolved. It was not yet romance nor simple friendship. It was mutual respect, understanding, and the beginning of trust. Lyra no longer mocked him, and Elias did not attempt to impress her. Together, they discovered a new way of working, thinking, and being in the palace, one where human qualities complemented Zephirian strengths. The queen observed this quietly, her heart swelling with approval. She had long believed that the galaxy would benefit from a bridge between humans and Zephirians. Now, through Elias and Lyra, that bridge was forming. As the twin moons rose above the palace, casting silvery light across the gardens, Lyra and Elias walked together. They spoke quietly, exchanging ideas about strategy, culture, and philosophy. Lyra began to share her own thoughts and concerns, and Elias listened with patience, offering guidance without judgment. For the first time, Lyra realized that humans were not only capable of surviving in the galaxy, they were capable of inspiring others, of teaching lessons no Zephirian book or device could contain. And Elias was the embodiment of that lesson. I never expected a human to teach me so much, Lyra admitted softly, her eyes on the glowing horizon. Elias smiled faintly. Learning is universal, Princess. All beings have something to teach if we only listen. Lyra nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest. She had once mocked him, thinking him weak and ordinary. Now she could see the truth. Humans possessed a unique strength, one that combined courage, heart, and intelligence in ways the galaxy had seldom known. They reached a quiet terrace overlooking the city. The air was cool, filled with the hum of energy and the soft whispers of the citizens below. Lyra turned to Elias, a soft smile on her lips. Human, she said, her voice lighter than before. I respect you, more than I expected to, and I want to learn from you. Elias inclined his head politely. I will teach what I can, Princess, and I will learn from you as well. Lyra nodded, a quiet understanding settling between them. It was not yet love, but it was the foundation of something far stronger. Trust, respect, and a recognition of each other's strengths. That night, as the palace rested under the glow of 3 moons, the human warrior and the alien princess walked side by side, not as conqueror and subject, nor as teacher and student, but as equals. Together they had begun to show that unity between humans and Zephirians was possible, not through dominance, but through understanding, patience, and respect. And somewhere in the palace, Queen Seraphine watched from her chamber, smiling. The future of the galaxy seemed brighter than ever. Humans and Zephirians working together could achieve more than anyone had imagined. For Lyra, the princess who once mocked a human warrior, the world had changed. She had learned that strength was not measured by appearances alone. She had discovered that courage, intelligence, and heart could inspire even the proudest of beings. And for Elias, the human warrior, it was the beginning of a new chapter, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. They had proven that humans could not only survive among the stars, they could shine. Together, they would face whatever the galaxy had to offer. And together they would show that understanding, unity, and respect could overcome even the greatest of challenges.